My sister stood up at the dinner table and pointed at me in front of everyone. Grandma. My parents. Her husband. All of them. She killed my baby, she said. Nobody moved. Nobody looked at me like they were waiting for my side. They just looked at me like they already believed her. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't defend myself. Because I knew something nobody else in that room knew. I knew what was in her medical file. I knew what she'd searched on her phone the week before she lost the baby. I knew what she'd done. And I knew that the moment I said it out loud, this family would never survive it. So why did she think I wouldn't eventually tell the truth? I still remember the exact moment. Diane stood up from the dinner table. Pushed her chair back slowly. Like she'd been rehearsing it. Then she pointed at me in front of everyone. Grandma. My parents. Her husband Marcus. She killed my baby. I need everyone at this table to know what she did. Nobody moved. Nobody asked for my side. They just looked at me like the verdict was already written. I didn't defend myself. Because I knew something nobody else in that room knew. And saying it out loud would destroy everything. 3 weeks before that dinner, Diane had called me in a panic. She'd found messages on Marcus's phone. A woman's name. Photographs she couldn't unsee. She called me sobbing at 11 p.m. I drove over immediately. Held her on her kitchen floor for 2 hours. I told her the truth, stress at this level was dangerous for the pregnancy. She needed to tell someone. She made me promise to stay silent. I promised. 5 days later, she lost the baby. Hidden clue number 1, Diane knew about the affair 3 weeks before the miscarriage. At that dinner table I looked around the room. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My father stared at the wall. Then I looked at my grandmother. She wasn't looking at me with anger. She was looking at me with pity. Not for Diane. For me. Like she already knew there was more to this story. Part 2, what grandmother knew. I left that dinner without eating. Drove home in complete silence. Sat on my bathroom floor and cried the way you only cry when people who should know you better have chosen not to. My phone lit up all night. Cousins. Aunts. A voicemail from relatives 3 states away. Diane had been making calls before the plates were even cleared. My mother texted, "You should have kept what you knew to yourself." I put my phone face down. And thought about my grandmother's face. She called at 7:15 the next morning. "Come for breakfast," she said. Not a question. I drove over in yesterday's clothes. She sat me down. Poured coffee. Put toast in front of me. Then looked at me steadily. "Tell me what you actually know," she said. I told her everything. The phone call. The kitchen floor. The promise. She listened without interrupting once. Then she said something that stopped me cold. She didn't lose that baby the way she told everyone. I stared at her. The week before, my grandmother said carefully, Diane called me late at night. She said she'd been researching. About stress and pregnancy. About what could cause a body to reject. My chest tightened. She asked me, my grandmother continued, whether God would forgive a woman who couldn't bring herself to carry a child that reminded her every day of a betrayal she couldn't survive. 5 days later, Diane lost the baby. The same 5 days between my kitchen floor night and the call that said it's gone. Hidden clue number 2, Diane called grandmother before it happened. This was a choice. Not an accident. She blamed me, I said. Because if everyone believed I caused it, nobody would ever look at what she actually did. My grandmother nodded slowly. She needed it to be your fault, she said. Because living with her own truth was impossible. Then my grandmother stood up. Walked to the drawer beside the refrigerator, the one we were never allowed to touch as children. She pulled out a photograph. Slid it across the table. It was Diane. Younger. standing outside a women's clinic 20 minutes from our childhood home. On the back, 4 words in my grandmother's handwriting. This was not first. I sat in that kitchen for a long time. Diane had made this choice before. Kept it secret for years. Let my grandmother carry it alone. And now she had made it again, and handed the weight of it to me in front of everyone we loved. 2 choices. 2 secrets. One sister who always found someone else's arms to put them in. Part 3. The reason she came to me first. I spent 3 days alone. Didn't answer family texts. Didn't respond to my mother's calls. Didn't reach out to Diane. I just sat with what I knew. Turned it over. Looked at every side. The way you handle something dangerous before deciding what to do with it. On the 4th day Diane came to my apartment. I watched her sit in her car for 11 minutes before getting out. She was rehearsing. I let her rehearse. She knocked 3 times. I opened the door and stepped back without a word. She sat on the edge of my couch. Like she wasn't planning to stay long. I need you to not say anything, she said. To anyone. About Marcus. About what I told you. Not I'm sorry. Not I went too far. Just, stay silent. Again. You stood up in front of our entire family, I said quietly. And called me a monster. She flinched. I was grieving, you were deflecting, I said. And you know the difference. Silence. If Marcus finds out what I did he'll leave, she whispered. And then everyone will want to know why. And everything comes out. She pressed her fingers to her mouth. I cannot have everyone know what I did. So you needed them to know what I did instead, I said. She didn't answer. Which was its own answer. Did you think about what carrying your lie would cost me? I said. What it would do to how Mom looks at me. How the family talks about me. Her eyes filled. I thought you could handle it, she whispered. You always handle everything. Something broke open in my chest. Not anger. The specific grief of being so strong that people forget you're also breakable. I thought you could handle it. The sentence of every person who has ever used someone else's strength as permission to hurt them. I found the photograph, I said. The color left her face instantly. Grandma showed me, I said. She's been carrying that for 20 years. She's 79 years old, Diane. That was different. I'm not judging what you did, I said. I'm telling you that you have a pattern. Of making impossible choices and handing the weight of them to women who love you. She was crying now. The real kind. Ugly and airless. And I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction. Devastation. Because she was still my sister. What are you going to do? She asked. Before I could answer, my phone rang. Marcus. We both looked at it on the coffee table. Diane's face went white. Don't, she whispered. I looked at her. Then at the phone. Then I picked it up and read the text beneath his name. I need to talk to you. Not about Diane. About something I found. I think you deserve to know the truth. All of it. I looked up at my sister. And watched her face tell me everything before she said a single word. She knew. Marcus had found something. That was why she was here. Not to apologize. Not to make peace. She came to me first to control which version of the truth he heard. He found the search history, I said. She stopped breathing. It wasn't a question anymore. She didn't deny it. She just sat on my couch with nothing left to hide behind. The truth she had buried was already digging itself out. And it wasn't going to be gentle about it. I called Marcus back. With Diane sitting right there. Not out of cruelty. Not revenge. I was just done being the container for everyone else's damage. He answered immediately. I need to see you, he said. Somewhere neutral. I'm actually with Diane right now, I said. Long silence. Then I'll come there, he said. Diane stood up the moment I ended the call. You can't do this, I didn't do anything, I said. He called me. He found something. This was already happening with or without me. You could have said I wasn't home, I could have kept your secret, I said. Like I did when you called me at 11 p.m. When I drove to your house. When I held you on that floor. When I sat at that dinner table and said nothing while you called me a monster. She went quiet. I have been keeping your secrets since we were children, Diane. And every single time, it cost me everything. And cost you nothing. She sat back down. Not because she wanted to. Because her legs stopped working. Marcus arrived 20 minutes later. He looked terrible. The specific terrible of someone who spent a sleepless night reading things that couldn't be unread. He stopped when he saw Diane. They looked at each other across my living room. Something passed between them. Private. Painful. He sat down. Put his phone on the table face up. A browser tab still open. Search terms. Dates. A medical question typed at 2 a.m. The kind of question you only ask when you've already made a decision. Tell me the truth, Marcus said. Only looking at Diane. Not the version you told your family. The actual truth about what happened to our baby. Diane looked at me. Looking for permission. Or rescue. I gave her neither. I just looked back steadily. And thought about my grandmother. 79 years old. Still carrying someone else's secret. I made a choice, Diane said finally. Marcus closed his eyes. I found the messages on your phone 3 weeks before, she continued. I saw everything. The woman. All of it. She stopped. I couldn't bring a baby into that. Couldn't look at a child every day knowing what you'd done while we were supposed to be building something. Complete silence. So I made a choice, she said. And I've lived with it every day since. Marcus didn't move for a long time. You should have told me you knew, he said finally. About the affair. Would it have changed anything? Diane said. He opened his mouth. Closed it. And in that silence lived the most honest answer he'd ever given her. I walked to the kitchen. Gave them the room the only way I could, by removing myself from it. I stood at the window and thought about what I was witnessing. 2 people dismantling a life. Not because I'd exposed anything. Not because my grandmother spoke. But because the truth had simply gotten tired of waiting. It surfaced on its own terms. The way it always does eventually. My phone buzzed. My mother. I answered before she could speak. Marcus is here, I said. He found the search history. Diane just told him the truth. All of it. Silence. Then my mother said something she hadn't said in 4 days. My name. Just my name. Like she was recalibrating who I was. Like the version she'd accepted at that dinner table had just been replaced with the one she actually raised. I should have asked you first, she said quietly. Before I decided anything, I should have asked. Something loosened in my chest. I know, I said. Marcus left an hour later. He paused at my door. I'm sorry, he said. For what she said about you. And for my part in creating all of it. I nodded. Enough. Not everything. But enough. Diane sat on my couch long after he left. Not crying anymore. Just existing in the stillness of someone who has put down something enormous and discovered that putting it down has its own kind of pain. I don't know how to come back from this, she said. I know, I said. Does that mean you think I can't? I sat beside her. Not close enough to say everything was fine. Close enough to say I was still there. I can understand the choice you made in an impossible moment, I said. I can't pretend the dinner table didn't happen. She nodded. The family is going to find out, she said quietly. Yes. Will you let me be the one to tell them? I thought about my grandmother. About what it costs to carry things that don't belong to you. About my mother's voice saying my name like a recalibration. Yes, I said. Not because she deserved it. But because I was done deciding what other people had to survive and when. The truth was already out. How it traveled from here was the one thing I could still give her. She left just before dark. I watched her walk to her car. She moved differently than when she arrived. Not lighter. More honest. Like someone who finally put down a weight and discovered that even the putting down has a cost. Some people burn the truth to stay warm. They don't think about what burns down around them. They just need to not be cold. If your sister blamed you publicly for something she did herself, would you expose her to protect your own name? Or carry her secret to protect what's left of your family? And if the person who hurt you most finally told the truth, would that ever be enough?